This is a special report from ABC News Digital.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Devin Dwyer in New York with this ABC News Digital special report. Prince William is opening up for the first time about fatherhood and raising the new young Prince George Alexander. He even admits, despite that swirl of attention over the royal birth, he couldn't wait for everyone to see the baby.
I think I was on such a high anyway, and so was Catherine, about George, that really we were happy to show him off to whoever wanted to see him. As any new parent knows, you're only too happy to show off your new child and, you know, proclaim that he's the best looking or the best everything.
All right, and Prince William had a lot more to say in that interview with CNN. Joining us now from London for more on the revealing interview, ABC's Nick Schifrin. Hey, Nick, good to see you.
Hey, Devin, good to see you too. How are you?
We're certainly seeing a lot. We're great. A lot of his Prince William's humble side here. I mean, I find it hard to believe. Is the Duke of Cambridge really changing diapers?
I think he is, and I think that, as he talks about with Max Foster of CNN, he wants to be as independent as his family will let him be. So he drove off himself from the hospital that day. I think, as you and I have talked about in the past, he will likely leave his job in Anglesey as a helicopter search and rescue pilot to become a full-time royal soon, to become a full-time dad. And as he says, echoing really what a lot of fathers around the world probably feel in those first few weeks, my priorities now are my wife and my new son, and although he adds his dog is also in the priority list, and he's really focused on that. And to be honest, if you look at him in this interview, he looks relaxed, he looks happy, he's so very clearly in a good place in life, and he's looking forward to the future of raising this boy, including doing more nappies.
That's right, and I was really struck how down to earth he was in the interview, even admitting that moment when he walked out from the hospital with the baby prince in that car seat and putting that car seat in the car. He admitted that he actually had to practice that, and he was a bit nervous. Let's take a look at what he said.
Believe me, it wasn't my first time, and I know there's been speculation about that. I had to practice, I really did. I was terrified that I was going to do some, you know, it was going to fall off, or the door wasn't going to close properly, so I had actually practiced with that.
I mean, pretty remarkable, right, for the Duke of Cambridge to do some rehearsing there with his baby toys.
Although I have to say, we put a stopwatch on him that day after we saw him put that car seat in, and it was only 8 seconds. And I got to say, having put my nephew's car seat in many times, having lots of friends who have little kids who try and struggle with car seats, that was obvious, in my opinion, that he'd practiced. But look, you know, he really wants to be accessible. He really wants to be a normal father, and of course he isn't. He will never be. But I think he has the sense that he and his wife and his son can really just have their own lives, can set their own lives. He's talking about, some of this we'll hear soon, but he talks about how he wants to introduce Africa into his little boy's life, just like it was introduced into his life by his mother. So he's really talking about bringing up a child, a very modern monarch child that's not like the way that his grandparents or even his parents would have been raised.
That's right, really breaking some new ground here, a new generation, a new monarchy. I mean, even in the way we see him and Kate being parents here, pretty remarkable stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the prince himself. We got a hint, a glimpse here from Prince William about what the temperament of the future King of England could be. Let's take a look.
He's a little bit of a rascal, let's put it that way. So he either reminds me of my brother or me when I was younger, I'm not sure. But he's doing very well at the moment. He does like to keep having his nappy changed. And
you did the first nappy, of course.
I did the first nappy, yeah, exactly.
It's a badge of honour.
Well, it's a badge of honour, exactly. I wasn't allowed to get away with it. I had every midwife staring at me going, you do it, you do it. He's a little, he's growing quite quickly, actually, but he's a little fighter. He kind of, he wriggles around quite a lot, and he doesn't want to go to sleep that much, which is a little bit of a problem. But he's
so you're up a lot at night. You're
a little
pretty
bit,
tired.
Not as much as Catherine, but you know, she's doing fantastic.
All right, that image of every midwife staring at the Duke, changing the nappy, it's pretty remarkable there. And I understand that even though they've said they aren't going to have full-time help at home, they must have some, right?
Well, look, I think that there have been reports that he's reached out to his own old nanny, the one that helped raise him. Other people who have been around Kensington Palace, the same place where he was raised, for years and years. We don't really know how many people or who they've reached out to, but they have indicated that they will have some help, but not a huge amount of staff. But look, they've got a lot on their plates. They've got a little boy. Catherine has gone back to work, or soon to go back to work in the next couple weeks. You know, they will be full full-time royals, most likely, when he leaves his job as a search and rescue pilot. And they're also full-time philanthropists in some way. William has a lot of charities, including one that he highlighted during this interview in Africa, and that's one that he wants to introduce his son to. So they will be reaching out. They will be a very public couple, and they're really going to be the face of the monarchy, and little boy George is going to be that next generation that assures the House of Windsor a level of popularity that, frankly, they haven't seen in generations that have really come along. That popularity really rising thanks to William, Kate, and Harry, and now little George.
A lot on their plate, a lot of pressure. I can only imagine it, and it sounds like, from what we heard from the interview, let's take a look here at how little sleep they appear to be getting as well.
The last few weeks for me have been just a very different emotional experience, something I never thought I would feel myself. And I find, again, it's only been a short period, but a lot of things affect me differently now.
So how has, Nick, you've followed the royals, you've followed Prince William. I mean, just from this interview, what sense do you get about how fatherhood has already begun to change him?
I think he's happy. I really do, and I think that that's really what comes out here. And like so many fathers, after their wives or partners have just given birth to their first child, especially, I think he's kind of amazed. You know, everyone says to you, "Oh, your life's never going to be the same. Oh, you'll never be the same. You'll never sleep." But you don't really know that until you have a little boy or have a little girl in your arms. And it's just the three of you creating life and dealing with diaper changing and dealing with whether you can put the car seat in front of millions and millions of people. Okay, well, that's a particular problem for the prince. But I think he's in a place that a lot of parents are, and I think he's just happy and pleased, and with that comes a little shock at some of the emotions he's feeling, and some of the true emotion deep down that he's feeling. And who knows what he's talking about when he says he looks at things differently now. That could just be he walks out of his house and sees the sky differently. Who knows? You know, but I think he's in a good place. That's very clear from this interview. He says that Catherine's also in a very good place, and they're going to be excited parents, and we're going to see a lot of them. They're both going to start hitting the trail, I was going to say. They're both going to start doing public events next month, and I really do think, as we talked about, that the three of them really will be the future of the monarchy, and they will be very popular.
All right, ABC News' Nick Schifrin in London. Thanks so much for joining us, Nick. Great reporting on this story. This has been an ABC News Digital Special Report. Thanks so much for watching.
This has been a special report from ABC News Digital.